Welcome to We the People, a new birth of freedom. Thanks again for stopping by, and please feel free to subscribe and leave your comments below. I'll get back to you. We've been discussing the Declaration of Independence, and I want to continue reading. July 4th, 1776, Thomas Jefferson said, "We hold these truths to be self-evident." What truths? What truths was he talking about? Well, he explains those truths in the first paragraph. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth, these are the truths he's going to talk about. Among the powers of the earth, the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature, those are the truths that he's going to list, and of nature's God entitle them. A decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. And then he said, we hold these truths to be self-evident. These are the self-evident truths among the powers of the earth that come from the laws of nature and nature's God, that all men are created equal. Politics does not determine that. The Supreme Court judges do not delegate that. A king, a monarch, a pharaoh, a president does not sanction that. It's according to the laws of nature. We all are born the same way. We come forth by the conception of a sperm and an egg. The multiplication of cells as it goes into the process of human development for the time frame of 9 months, then we are born. We come forth from our mother's womb. This has nothing to do with legislation. This has nothing to do with some political law. This is according to the laws of nature and nature's God. Now, I know many politicians just abhor those words, but you can't escape it. We are all born the same way. We all come forth out of the womb with life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness before us. Now, that equality does not mean we all have the same capacity to acquire certain things. We do not all have the same ability to acquire possessions in life or status in life. But we all have equal access to those laws of nature and nature's God because they're inherent within us. It's self-evident. We hold these truths to be self-evident. What part of that and politicians, why do they stumble over that all the time? It's self-evident. It's not legislated. That all men are created equal. That they're endowed by their creator. Politics is not our creator. The Supreme Court judges did not create us. Some political party did not sanction our creation. A king, a monarch, a pharaoh, a president does not sanction our birth. It comes by the connection between a sperm and an egg and the multiplication of cells according to the laws of nature, nature's God. That they are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights. That has nothing to do with politics or political laws and legislation. Certain unalienable rights. You can't alienate them from us. You can attempt to, but you can't alienate it. That among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And since we're talking about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, let's just put a little footnote in here for a moment. Because it's very important when you're talking about life to also talk about abortion. Some abortions are justified. The majority of them are just outright legalized murder. Legalized murder. You know, they put people in prisons and jails for smoking a little pot or enjoying a little cocaine, you know, some illicit drug as they call it. But yet we have politicians that sanction murder every single day, and they live like kings and rock stars. It's murder, folks. Let me give you a parallel here. When a police officer, in the course of his duties as a law enforcement official, when he is confronted with a situation where the use of force continuum has reached the top rung, he has no other recourse than to pull his firearm and take another person's life. Even though he's performing his duties in the capacity that he has commissioned, it's still classified as murder, and it has to be a justifiable homicide. In other words, the evidence has to prove there was no other recourse in order to preserve and save another person's life. He had to take a life to save a life. It has to be a justifiable homicide, but it's still homicide because you're taking another person's life. Likewise, abortion. There are times when abortion is justifiable because of medical conditions where a life has to be taken to save another life. But abortion is not justifiable just because a woman wants to go out and have sex, enjoy a few moments of sexual pleasure, get pregnant by being irresponsible, using no protection whatsoever, and then wakes up and says, well, I don't want this child, I'm going to abort it. That is not justifiable. That is murder. It is not justifiable abortion. It's outright murder. We live in a nation where millions times millions times millions times millions have been murdered before they had a chance to fully develop in the womb and have a birthday. It's murder. I don't care if politicians like that word or not, that like that definition, it's murder. You see, it's been said that life begins at conception, and there's a partial truth to that, at least the life part, but it actually begins before conception. You see, if a sperm is alive and an egg is alive, a sperm in a man is alive and an egg is alive in a woman, once those two unite, it begins to multiply cells, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, etc. And the only way that they can multiply is because the sperm is alive and the egg is alive. If they were not alive, there would be no multiplication of cells, there would be no 9-month development, and there would be no birthday of the child in the 9-month time frame when it comes out of its mother's womb. But because those cells are alive, because life is there. Now this is the self-evident truth that politicians miss. Because there's life in the sperm, life in the egg, and those two unite and cells begin to multiply, there is your life, there is your liberty to multiply, to develop, as it engages the pursuit of happiness. It's all intrinsic, it's all born within us. Happiness is the birthday to celebrate the life and liberty to develop as a human being. But when you abort that, when you kill that, when you kill the potentiality and the actuality of life, you're a murderer. Our Constitution is built upon life, liberty, justice, equality, and the pursuit of happiness. It is not built upon murder, mayhem, political homicide. It's not. It's not there. You can't find it. Our very foundation, the bedrock of our Constitution, is founded upon life and liberty to develop, to pursue everything that life and liberty has to offer in the context of being responsible and accountable. Until next time, please be an American.